They stepped off the plane with hearts so full they could barely speak. Eli held Noah against his chest, the boy's small fingers gripping his hoodie, his eyes still puffy from sleep. Marcus walked beside them, one hand on the stroller, the other resting gently on Eli's back. From a distance, they looked like any new parents arriving home tired, glowing, deeply in love with their child. But the moment they stepped into the costumes line at JFK, the illusion shattered. A woman ahead of them turned around, gave them a long look, then leaned in and whispered something to the officer. The uniformed man's face stiffened. He gestured toward them. Another officer approached and asked to see their documents. Eli offered them without hesitation. Passports, birth certificate, notarized surrogacy papers. But his voice trembled as he explained, "He's our son. We just returned from Mexico." The officer took a long time reviewing everything. Too long. He made a call. People in line began to stare. One woman took out her phone, pointed it slightly toward them, and pretended she was checking messages. Noah, sensing the tension, whispered, "Is something wrong, Daddy?" Eli kissed the boy's forehead but didn't answer. After nearly 20 minutes, they were cleared. No apology, no warmth, just a wave of the hand and, "You're good to go." They didn't feel good. On the drive home, Marcus stayed quiet. Eli stared out the window as their son slept, unaware of what had just happened. This was supposed to be the happiest chapter of their lives. Instead, it began with suspicion. The neighborhood hadn't changed. Same red brick houses, same trimmed lawns. But now, eyes followed them. A neighbor across the street, Mrs. Kellerman, in her late 70s, stood watering her roses and stared without waving. Marcus nodded at her. She looked away. That evening, Eli scrolled through a local Facebook group out of habit. That's when he saw it. A blurry photo of them at the airport, taken from behind. The caption read, "2 men, 1 baby, Mexico. No judgment, just wondering. Is this legal?" The comments piled beneath it like slow-moving poison. "Poor child. Rent-a-womb culture is getting out of hand. This is why families are falling apart." He didn't respond. He just turned the phone face down. That night, as he tucked Noah into bed, the boy looked up and said, "I like our family, Daddy. It's cozy." Eli smiled. But later, in the quiet of the kitchen, he whispered to Marcus, "Maybe we shouldn't have come back here." Marcus didn't answer right away. Then he said, "We didn't come back for them. We came back for him." Eli nodded, but a fear settled in his chest. It wasn't just about what strangers thought. It was the knowing that their dream of family would constantly have to defend itself. The next morning, they took Noah for a walk in the park. It was warm, golden light cutting through early spring trees. A child at the playground looked at Noah and asked, "Where's your mom?" Noah shrugged. "Washade. I have 2 dads," he said with a smile. The other child stared blankly, then ran off. Moments later, Eli overheard that child's mother whispering loudly into her phone, "Can you believe that? What are they even thinking?" The words weren't shouted, but they didn't need to be. The message was clear. You are not normal. You are not welcome. Your love is less. That night, after Noah had gone to sleep, Eli opened his journal. He wrote, "Being a father is everything I dreamed of and nothing I prepared for." But he didn't stop writing because he knew the story had just begun. If you've ever felt judged for loving differently, you're not alone. At Heart Stories, we believe every family deserves to be seen, heard, and celebrated. Stay with us. This story is only getting deeper. The first time Eli heard the phrase, it was on the playground. He had just handed Noah a juice box when he noticed a little girl watching them from the climbing frame. She had long auburn hair and wore a pink dress with unicorns. She looked to be about the same age as Noah, sweet-faced, curious. She pointed at Eli and asked loudly enough for several parents to hear, "Is that your babysitter or your rented dad?" Noah blinked. He didn't understand the words, but Eli did. His stomach sank. A few adults nearby chuckled awkwardly. Others turned away. No one said anything. The girl's mother, Catherine, hurried over and whispered, "Don't say things like that, Lily." But her tone wasn't corrective. It was embarrassed, defensive. She didn't apologize. She didn't even look at Eli. That night, Noah asked, "What does rented dad mean?" Eli froze. He didn't have an answer ready. He had practiced answers for "Where's my mom?" and "Why do I have two dads?" but not for that. Not for something so cruel. He held his son close and said softly, "It's something some people say when they don't understand. But you know the truth, I'm your dad. Always have been." Noah nodded and went back to building with his blocks. But Eli didn't move. His hands trembled slightly. The words had found a way in. Later that week, Eli attended the classroom orientation meeting, his first since returning home. Parents filled the chairs in a brightly lit room decorated with crayon drawings and alphabet banners. The teacher, Miss Amber, was young and cheerful, trying her best to make everyone feel welcome. At one point, she paused mid-sentence and gestured toward Eli. "And we also welcome Noah's babysit," she caught herself, flustered. "I mean, Noah's guardian." Guardian, Eli's heart cracked a little more. He had signed every form, sat through every legal hurdle, paid every medical bill. But in that moment, in the eyes of people who didn't understand, he was still something else. When the meeting ended, no one approached him. Conversations swirled around him, full of casual laughter and weekend plans. He stood alone, holding the empty chair next to him like a barrier. Not one person made eye contact. Miss Amber gave him a sympathetic glance, but she didn't come over. That night at home, Marcus noticed the tension in Eli's face. "You want me to go next time?" Marcus asked. Eli shook his head. "No. I want them to stop looking at us like we're intruding." They tried not to let it affect Noah. They painted together on weekends, baked cookies, went to the library. But even there, they began to notice it. The subtle things. The extra glance from a librarian when Eli signed the checkout slip. The way another child's parent would step closer, just slightly, when their child got too near. The long pause when someone asked Noah what his mother did. And Noah replied happily, "I don't have one. I have two dads. My daddy Marcus is strong, and my daddy Eli makes pancakes." One evening after dinner, Marcus brought it up. "You know the parents' group chat, I think they blocked your number." Eli nodded slowly. He had noticed. He had also seen the new group photos going around, birthday party invitations, play dates, field trips, and Noah was never in them. It wasn't direct rejection. No one had said, "You don't belong." They didn't have to. It was the silence, the exclusion, the suggestion that their family was tolerated, but never embraced. Then came the whispered comments at pickup time, the sudden quiet when Eli entered a room, the mother who turned her child away, murmuring, "Let's not play there today." And Noah, who once ran freely into the classroom, now lingered by Eli's side, his grip a little tighter, his smile a little smaller. One afternoon as they walked home from school, Noah looked up and asked, "Daddy, am I different?" Eli stopped. The question landed harder than anything else had. He knelt down, met Noah's eyes, and said gently, "You're kind, you're smart, you're strong, and yes, you're different. Because different just means you're brave in a world that forgets how to be kind." That night, after putting Noah to bed, Eli stared at the ceiling for a long time. The weight of the world wasn't new, but now it was pressing down on his son, and that changed everything. It started with a notice. Folded neatly in Noah's backpack was a flyer announcing the upcoming Family Day celebration. There would be music, performances, and one parent representative from each class invited to speak about what family means to them. Noah was thrilled. He danced around the living room, shouting, "You have to do it. Daddy, you tell them about us." Eli smiled, but inside, doubt crept in. Public speaking had never been easy for him, especially not now. Not in this community. not in front of the same parents who whispered when he passed by. Still, he agreed. For Noah, for their story. He wrote his speech late at night, sitting by the window as Marcus slept on the couch with Noah curled against him. The words poured out slowly, painfully, but honestly. He didn't expect opposition. He didn't expect her. The next week, during a routine school council meeting, Eli's name was brought up as a potential speaker. That's when Catherine stood. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her words were measured, calm, and sharp as glass. "I have concerns," she said. "This is a celebration for children. I don't think it's appropriate to politicize it. We all have different values, and frankly, it's not the time or place for alternative family structures to take center stage." Someone tried to interject, but she continued. "There are mothers here who've lost children, families who've fought hard to protect their beliefs. I'm not saying we exclude anyone. I'm saying we be respectful. Let's not make this into a statement." Eli wasn't in the room, but Marcus was. He sat in the back row, jaw clenched, knuckles white around the arms of the chair. He didn't speak. Not yet. He wanted to tell Eli first. When he came home that night, Marcus looked exhausted. He told Eli everything, every word, every glance. Eli sat still for a long time. Then he asked softly, "Did anyone defend us?" Marcus hesitated. "A single dad from another class tried. Said his daughter loves playing with Noah, but they shut him down. Said it's not personal, just sensitive at the time." Eli nodded, but the silence that followed was louder than any protest. Later that evening, Eli walked to the school. The parking lot was empty, the auditorium dark. He just stood there, hands deep in his jacket, staring at the building like it might understand him better than the people in Sutton. He never told Marcus, but he considered backing out that night. He considered letting silence speak for him, letting his absence be easier than their discomfort. But when he returned home, he found Noah asleep on the floor. A drawing clutched in one hand. Crayon lines formed a house with two figures outside, both holding hands with a small smiling boy in between. Above it, scribbled in orange marker, were the words, "My family is a team." Eli picked it up and stared at it for a long time. Then he folded the paper carefully and placed it on the table beside his speech. The next morning, an email arrived from the school principal. It read, "After receiving several concerns from parents, we are reevaluating the speaker lineup for Family Day. We hope you understand. Thank you for your cooperation." Eli didn't reply. He didn't need to. The answer had already been made clear. That night, Marcus boiled. "You want to just sit back and take this? They're rewriting the meaning of family in front of our son," Eli answered quietly. "They can rewrite it on paper, but they can't erase what Noah feels. That's the only definition I care about." They didn't argue, but the silence between them held weight. 2 days later, Noah came home with tears in his eyes. He hadn't been invited to Lily's birthday party. Again, and this time, the invitation had been handed out to everyone else in front of him. "She said I don't have a mom, so I don't count," he whispered. Eli held him tightly, breathing through the anger that surged in his chest. Catherine had spoken, and even if she hadn't meant for her words to trickle down to the children, they had. Words always did. That night, Eli took out his speech again. He didn't edit it. He didn't soften it. He simply reread it, and then he looked at Noah asleep in his bed and whispered, "We're still going. No matter what they say, we're still going." The morning of Family Day arrived beneath a gray sky. Eli sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee gone cold. The speech he had written lay untouched beside him. He hadn't read it in 2 days. Something about that email from the school had drained him. It wasn't the words, it was the quiet dismissal wrapped in politeness. The way rejection came dressed in civility. Marcus had already laid out Noah's outfit, a blue sweater, soft jeans, sneakers with one frayed lace. Noah had been humming all morning. He had no idea. "Daddy, are we going? I want to show Lily my new dinosaur sticker." Eli looked up. He hesitated. Maybe we'll stay home today, buddy. Noah's face fell, not with sadness, but confusion, like something wasn't adding up. But you said we'd go even if people were mean. You said we show up when it's hard. Eli didn't have a reply. He looked at Marcus, who didn't speak either. He just stepped aside and let the moment sit. The silence said more than words ever could. Eli folded the speech and slipped it into his coat pocket. At the school, the parking lot buzzed with activity balloons tied to railings, tables of cupcakes and juice boxes, children running in tangled lines of laughter. Parents stood in tight circles, sipping coffee, trading polite smiles. When Eli and Marcus walked in with Noah, a few heads turned. No one said anything. Noah ran ahead to join his class. He waved from the stairs, then disappeared inside. Eli sat near the back of the auditorium while Marcus stood by the wall. The folding chairs were mostly full. The walls had been decorated with crayon drawings of families, stick figures holding hands under suns and rainbows. Eli found Noah's picture on the far right. It was the same one from their table at home. My family is a team. The program began, teachers clapped. A short music number followed off key but full of joy. Then the host took the mic to introduce the speakers. But Eli's name was never called. They had removed him from the list, without warning, without acknowledgement. Instead, Catherine stepped forward. She spoke about tradition, about the strength of mothers, about the importance of legacy. Her voice was calm, her smile gentle. The room applauded. She didn't say anything directly. She didn't need to. When she returned to her seat, Eli felt a tightness in his chest. Not from anger, from grief, not for himself, but for the stories that never get told. The ones too fragile, too complex, too different to be welcomed. Then, without warning, a small voice rang out from stage right. "Excuse me?" Everyone turned. It was Noah, standing near the microphone, holding a crumpled piece of paper. His paper, his drawing. The room fell into a hush. The teacher moved to guide him back, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the look in his eyes. Maybe it was the silence that begged for something true. Noah climbed the 2 steps and took the mic. He didn't read from anything. He didn't need to. "Hi, my name's Noah. I have 2 dads. Some kids say that's weird, but my family makes pancakes. We play dinosaurs. My daddy Eli kisses my knee when I fall, and my daddy Marcus scares away thunder." A soft laugh rippled through the audience. "One time I cried at school, and Daddy Eli came, even though he was scared of being late. He's not rented. He's mine. He stays. He makes lunch and lets me eat the last cookie. I love him a lot." He paused. "If a family is who loves you the most, then I think I win." There was silence. Then someone clapped, a slow, single clap that multiplied. It wasn't thunderous, but it was real. It started from the left and moved across the room like a wave finding its strength. Catherine sat perfectly still, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes fixed forward, blinking but otherwise unmoved. Eli didn't cry, not yet. He just stood, feeling something inside him uncoil. He walked toward the stage slowly. When Noah saw him, the boy ran into his arms. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the whispers, not the speeches, not the people who couldn't see love unless it looked like theirs. Noah had seen it, and he had made others see it too. Eli held his son close and whispered, "You were brave." Noah nodded. "You said we show up, right?" Eli smiled. "Yes, and you did, all the way." They didn't stay for the cupcakes. They didn't need to. As they walked toward the door, a woman touched Eli's arm. He turned. It was Miss Amber. "That was beautiful," she said. Then, more quietly, "I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner." Eli nodded. Forgiveness doesn't always need words. Sometimes it's just the absence of more harm. And that, for now, was enough. They came home to a different quiet, not the heavy silence of doubt or shame, but the soft stillness that follows a storm. Marcus poured coffee. Eli sat at the table with Noah's drawing still in his hand. The house felt lighter somehow, as if something had shifted, not just outside, but within. Eli didn't check his phone that night. He didn't scroll through comments or posts. He simply existed, surrounded by the family he helped build, in the home that had become a small act of rebellion just by continuing to love without apology. The next morning, as he opened the mailbox, he found an envelope with no return address. Inside, there was a folded card, a simple white sheet with an embossed border and one handwritten note. "Your son reminded me what I lost, not just a child, but the courage to love beyond biology." Beneath it was a photo, grainy and faded, a black and white ultrasound. And at the bottom, signed in a shaky but familiar script, Catherine. Eli didn't move for a long time. He stood in the doorway, the card in one hand, the image in the other. He hadn't known. No one had. Later, Marcus found him still holding the photo. Eli passed it to him without saying a word. Marcus looked, then nodded, understanding without needing to ask. Grief is strange like that. It can turn people into walls. But sometimes, just sometimes, it hands you a window instead. The next week, Noah's drawing appeared again, this time laminated and pinned to the main hallway wall at school. It hung beside family portraits from other children, under a new banner that read, "Families come in all forms." Some parents ignored it. Others paused and read the caption Noah had scribbled on the back, "My family is real because it loves me." One morning, the neighbor across the street, Mrs. Kellerman, was out tending her flowers again. She didn't glance away this time. She didn't smile either. But as Eli passed by, holding Noah's backpack and Marcus's hand, she gave a short nod. It was enough. That evening, Eli sat on the porch with Noah curled beside him. "Did I do good, Daddy?" Noah asked. Eli kissed his temple. "You did better than good. You helped people see." Noah was quiet for a moment. Then he whispered, "Can we always stay together, even if I'm different?" Eli's voice didn't waver. "Especially because you're different. That's what makes you ours." The sun slipped lower in the sky, bathing the house in golden light. Across the street, Catherine stepped out of her car. She didn't speak. But as she walked up her driveway, she placed something small in the mailbox at the corner. Eli didn't check it until the next day. It was another photo, this time a printed one. Noah on stage, holding the microphone, his face lit up with quiet pride. On the back, a single sentence. "Sometimes it takes a child to remind us what love should sound like." Eli kept it. He didn't frame it. He didn't post it. He just placed it in the top drawer of his desk, beside his folded speech and Noah's first drawing. Not to preserve a moment, but to remind himself of a truth he already knew, that love is real when it stays, and family is real when it shows up. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone will change. But for those who do, because of a 4-year-old drawing with a brave heart and a steady voice, there's still hope. And for Eli, that was enough. Have you ever felt invisible until someone small reminded the world you mattered? We'd love to hear your story. At Heart Stories, we believe in quiet revolutions, in stories that don't need explosions to echo. If this journey touched you, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and join us for more stories that heal.